My husband and I were playing basketball on our knees in the living room. We're both way too competitive.
It actually looks
That's a
really
big deal.
cool.
Thursday.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, we did all.
I'm
like, I know, she's so cute.
This is what I got.
It looks like black eyes.
Look at her unibrow.
I know, I love it.
Now you
I
just
love
have to
the
say.
lipstick. Off the lips, that is classic.
It's disgusting.
That is classic.
So I can't.
And you need some like mascara smeared too.
You should have done the Katy Perry thing. I couldn't find mine. I lost mine. I have like real 3D.
Oh, they are.
No, you pop the ones.
I was trying to pop so it's working.
Okay. Listen, careful believe. Here's the deal with inequalities. Okay. First of all, they're solved just like equations. Except, here are some things you have to remember. Here's what you have to remember. First of all, okay, well, there's two things. The variables, the variable must be on the left side, and it must be positive. Okay, I'm not so much worried about that. You can graph them, it's that you got to get them to a point where they can be graphed. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples of this here. For example, okay, if you have 8 is greater than x, okay, that is not an acceptable way to write the inequality. Okay, the x needs to go on the other side. But what you have to remember is, see the little thing back in the day, we talked about this being like an alligator thing. The alligator eats the bigger thing. Okay, so if you flip these things around, the x and the 8, the alligator, the 8, it doesn't change what those things are, the value of those things. So the alligator still wants to eat the 8 because it's still bigger. So if you flip-flop a variable from one side to the other, you have to change the sign. Okay? Same thing with this. If you have a negative x is greater than or equal to 6, in order to make that positive, okay, you can just make this positive and make this its opposite, but you have to remember the sign must also become its opposite. And the opposite of greater than or equal to is a less than equal to. There's no real opposite of an equal to. Equal to is opposite of equal to. It's kind of sits in the middle there. So when you solve them, okay, you have to do those sort of things. So we're going to end up with some problems that look like this. Let me just yank one off that little worksheet there. Let's go right to the back where it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
This right here. Negative 8, problem number 17. Negative 8 is greater than b minus 3. Problem number 17. Negative 8 is greater than b minus 3. You can kind of go about this a number of different ways. This is probably the way that I would do it. I would isolate the variable first, which means get it by itself. Isolate variable, even though it's on the wrong side. So how do I get the letter v by itself, Jacob Bowman? I just need to add 3, just like a regular equation, add 3. So now I have negative 5 is greater than b. Okay, then I would flip-flop the stuff and change it to v. Sign needs to alternate too. Okay, and then when you graph it, is it an open circle or a closed circle at negative 5? Open. Remember, if it's not equal to, it's open. And then the little arrow shows you that it's all the things that are less than negative 5 over here. Okay. See another one on that sheet that looks particularly terrifying?
Negative 168.
Oh, wait, you read me one? What problem is it?
Number 20.
Which is what?
Negative 168 is.
Less than or greater than that?
Going to the left.
This way?
Yeah.
Equal sign 100?
No.
No.
Minus 12A.
Minus 12A.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on this? Because again, there's two different ways you could do this. Two different ways that you could do this, believe it or not. No, it's not so bad. Cut it out. I could divide by 12. Sure, let's do that. I divide by 12, and I divide by 12. So I end up with a negative A, and 12 goes into this 14 times, I believe.
Why don't you just divide by the negative 12?
Well, because she didn't say to divide by negative 12, I was just going with her suggestion.
Yeah, just do negative.
Let's keep going, because you don't have to. Now what?
Make everything opposite.
Make everything opposite. I'm going with Lizzie's.
Yeah.
Opposite, opposite, opposite. Now what?
Now flop.
I got the right.
Now move the A over here and the 14 over there, and sign changes as well.
So you have to, when you change that to the positive, you have to change the sign.
Anytime the variable changes by add, multiplying, or dividing from one side to another. Now, could it have worked like this? Let me show you another alternate route. We're gonna still get the same thing. All right, if I had this negative 168, I could have actually done this. I could have added 12A to both sides, which gets my 12A over there, and then added 168 to the other side. Now notice the sign doesn't change. When you add or subtract things from one side to the other, you never change the inequality. It's when you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative that it would change. And then just divide by 12, and you still get A is greater than 14. Or I could have done like what Steph said right off the bat. You could have divided by a negative 12 right off the bat. Come on. You could have divided by a negative 12 right off the bat. You just have to remember that when you do that, negative 168 is greater than negative 12A. You just have to remember that when you divide by a negative 12, and this changes its sign by that, you have to change that sign automatically. So now you get positive 14. And then you got to change the letter to the side, change the sign, change the letter. All of them work, all of them give you the same thing. It's all up to you which way you do it, as long as you keep straight what's going on. One more.
Number
14 is on the table.
24.
Oh, there's a 20 in there?
24.
14 or 24?
14 again.
Says what, Cal?
M over 5 is greater than or equal to negative 5.
The old question is, how do you get the letter by itself? With a little clue, this says m divided by 5 is greater than? Yeah. You just multiply by 5 over 1, 5's cross off, multiply by 5 over 1, you get negative 25. M is already on the right side, it's already positive. That's just the graph of it. At negative 25, there is an open circle, line going this way.
But it would be close.
That means a closed circle, line going that way.